Rob Hogue. Gonna do a lot of videos today. I've been slacking with the videos. It's so hard when I have tournaments going on, when I get out on the water to practice for a tournament, to actually get out there and not forget about the camera, because I get so like in tune with what I'm trying to accomplish that I really forget the camera's even there, or a lot of times I don't even like hook them up. But I'm gonna do a lot today. I don't fish tournaments for the next like month and a half because the tournaments are on the days I work, so you know I'm gonna miss the next two. It is what it is. It sucks, but it is what it is, because I've done pretty well this year. I've already missed one tournament, but I was set up to where if I was able to fish that tournament, I would be right there at the top of Angler of the Year in my club. But it is what it is. It's just one of those things you can't really control. But today we're going to talk about something that I've really debated on whether or not I wanted to put a video out on it. And a lot of people do this technique, but I feel I have I have all the pieces of the puzzle perfect for me right now. And I've had a lot of success doing it, and I know a lot of people do it, but I don't think they do it to the extent that I do it and some other people do it. And that's kind of why I debated whether or not to do the video, because I've had a lot of success. I don't want everyone to start doing it and then my stuff kind of loses effectiveness a little bit. But we're going to talk about finesse swim baiting, and I feel I have the perfect setup. I feel I'm not really going to go over retrieves and stuff like that, because I pretty much fish it every way I can. I skip docks with it. I fish it like a jig. I fish it like a football head jig, where I'm dragging it, I'm hopping it. I'm fishing it out in deep water on heavier jig heads. I'm fishing it shallow. I'm fishing it on beds. You know, I'm doing a little bit of everything with it. But we're going to go over all the pieces of the puzzle today. And we'll start with the actual swim bait itself. Obviously, if you've been following the channel, you know I am affiliated with Kitech. But for anybody who knows me or has been watching the channel a long time, I wouldn't be working with a company if I didn't believe in that company or trust that company wholeheartedly. And I can safely say that the Kitech swim baits, the Swing Impact Fats, are the only swim baits I use. I have one color from a different brand, and it's just because of that specific color, and that's for one lake. But I really have my color selection down to 4 colors, and I just feel that simplifies it. But I can catch them on those 4 colors in any body of water. Except real dirty water. If it's really dirty, I'm not even going to throw a finesse swim bait, but I'll throw that swim bait as like a trailer on like a chatterbait or something like that. But when I'm talking about finesse swim baiting, I like to stick with 2, maybe 3 sizes. I did start throwing the 2.8 this year, but it is so tiny. So tiny. I prefer the 3.3 and the 3.8. This is the 3.3. This is a green pumpkin one. I like that size, and I like the 3.8 size, which is right there. Those are the 2 sizes I tend to throw 90% of the time when I'm finesse swim baiting. But my colors, I have 2 translucent colors, which are more translucent for clearer water situations. I like the Tennessee Shad, and I like the Smallmouth Magic. And then I have a Sight Flash, which is like a white and like a little clear on the bottom, a little bit of flash on there, and green pumpkin. But those are really my colors for finesse swim baits. I do use like black for trailers on certain things, but those are the actual swim baits I use. Now, the jig heads, which me and my buddies have debated, but I think is very important, and I've sent VMC an email. I love VMC hooks. I would say 95% of my hooks are VMC. But I feel this VMC Moon Eye jig head gives me such an advantage on pressured lakes. I don't think it matters on lakes where the pressure is kind of moderate, but on like heavy pressured lakes like Candlewood Lake or lakes that just receive a lot of tournaments like week in and week out, I feel the more realistic you can make that bait look, the better your chances of getting a fish to bite. So where someone else is throwing a lead head with a swim bait, and I'm throwing one that looks more realistic like this VMC Moon Eye, this is a 1/4 ounce, I feel I'm going to get more bites. Now, there is some drawbacks to the Moon Eye, and I've sent the email to VMC, and hopefully they fix it. This is a very light wire hook, so you have to, knowing that going in that it's a light wire hook, you have to have your stuff set up a certain way so that you're not straightening this hook out, because you can. But if you're set up right, it's not going to straighten out. I've actually hooked a 25-pound plus carp in a tournament on this hook and got it to the boat. So they're light wire. You can straighten them, but if you have your stuff set up right, that's not going to happen. But hopefully VMC comes out with a little, like a medium gauge hook, where it's just a little stronger, and then also different size hooks with this jig head, because on the 3.8, I'll show you one, I feel I would like that hook to be a little bit bigger so it'd come back a little bit further on the bait. This hook size is perfect for the 3.3s and the 2.8s, but I feel a little bit bigger hook size would be perfect for these 3.8s, and have a model that has like a medium gauge hook or a heavy gauge hook, so that like if you wanted to skip it under docks and stuff, you have that heavier gauge hook. You can use heavier line and get that fish away from the docks. But this is what we got. It gets me extra bites. I deal with it. Now, so that's the jig head. That's the bait. So now I'll get into the setup itself. So because it's a light wire hook, I want a very soft rod. And you can see this is a very soft rod. It absorbs a lot of the fight, which is going to help protect that hook. This is a 7-foot medium Fitzgerald Versa Series rod, and I feel this is the freaking perfect rod for this technique. I skip docks with it. With this rod, I can make really long casts paired up with this reel, which we'll get into in a minute. I can fish deep with it. And you know what? They also have a 7.3 medium that you could throw if you really wanted to get extra distance. Like if I was throwing like a 3/8 ounce head and I was fishing it out in like 20 feet of water, maybe I'd switch to that 7.3 to get some extra distance, have a little bit longer rod. But the softness is the key. Like I wouldn't throw this on a 7-foot medium Stunner series rod, because the Stunners are a little stiffer. But this Versa series is such a soft rod. This 7-foot medium is like perfect because I'm accurate with it, because it's not too long. I can still make reasonably long casts, and I can skip with it. I can do whatever I need to do with it. Perfect rod. And the reel that I throw it on is my Quantum Vapor. I think it's a 6, I don't know, I gotta look. 6.3 to 1. So I can slow it down and swim it. I mean, it's not super slow like a 5, 4 to 1 or something like that. It's just a good generic middle of the range gear ratio reel. I get a lot of distance with it. I mean, I can cast this reel without thumbing the spool, and I don't really backlash with it. I have no problem skipping with it. It's got a good size spool. It's got the wider handle, which I love the fact that Quantum went up to these wider handles. It's got a carbon fiber handle. It's a fairly affordable reel, and it's got 11 ball bearings. I mean, it's smooth. You got all your adjustability for your braking systems on the outside now, these Quantum reels. And it's comfortable in your hand. It's not too bulky, and it's just perfect for this application. So definitely check those out. They're very affordable reels. Now what I spool this up with, because it's a light wire hook, I want a lighter line, because I know I have to play this fish a little slower. That light line helps me get that bait down a little deeper. You just got to watch it. I mean, if you're fishing it on, shallow rocks or whatever, you need to check your line just like you would any other line. But I throw 12-pound test P-line 100% fluorocarbon. The 10-pound gives me enough strength to where I don't have to worry about breaking the fish off, but it's light enough to where I have to turn my drag down a little bit. And where I have my drag adjusted is when I set the hook on a fish, at the end of my hook set, when I'm kind of just holding the fish, I'll get a little bit of that drag. And then I can start thumbing. Like when I get the fish actually where I'm fighting the fish and I know I have the hook in the fish, then I'll start pressing the button in and kind of using my thumb as my drag. But sometimes I don't have to. Sometimes, I mean, the drag system on this vapor is very good. I have not had an instance where I was using the drag and it's kind of gotten caught and caused me to either straighten a hook or break off a fish or anything like that. But the setup is sick. 7-foot medium Fitzgerald Versa Series rod. Quantum Vapor 6.3 to 1, if I remember. Very bad at that. 6.3 to 1. 12-pound P-line 100% fluorocarbon. The two sizes I use for the jig heads is 1/4 and 3/8. I feel I can fish 3/8 real deep if I fish it slow, or I can hop it or drag it or whatever I need to do. And that 1/4 ounce is perfect for fishing in around docks. I also use the 1/4 inch for bed fishing. But when I bed fish, I fish on a spinning rod. And that was a killer bait. I really only use three baits for bed fishing smallies now. But I've also bed fished largemouth with this bait. But awesome setup. I didn't think I was gonna like the cork handles on the vapor, but they really don't feel much different than the regular knobs. But carbon fiber handle. I think it's got 25-pound max drag, which obviously for that technique you're not going to use. But this whole system just flat out catches them. I start it early pre-spawn in 48-degree water, all the way to I used it up north at the Bass Nations New York CTC Championship in mid-June, for smallmouth. But definitely give it a shot. You don't need a lot of colors. 4 color swim baits, some jig heads, and I tell you what, I mean, I guess you could use any forgiving rod, soft rod, and any reel, but this is kind of like my review. I don't like reviewing stuff right away. I tell you about the stuff, but then I like to use it. I've used this stuff for about half a season now, and the first 4 tournaments a year, I had this set up working, and I caught fish in each of those tournaments off this setup. And I had a lot of good finishes early in the year. I caught a lot of fish. Even my last, one of my last videos, I was using this technique in one of my videos. But definitely check it out. 7-foot medium Versa Series, 6.3 to 1 vapor, 12-pound test P-line 100% fluorocarbon, some 1/4 ounce VMC Moon Eye jig heads, and some 3.8, 3.3 Kitex. There's a reason why a lot of swim baits are starting to look like this. It's because they figured something out. It's the best swim bait on the market, bar none. And that's why I agreed to work with Kitex. I was fortunate enough to work with Kitex, and I use them on chatterbait trailers, spinner baits, buzz baits, swim jigs. I use them on everything. I've used them on football head jigs with skirts. I mean, Kitex are incredible. I probably went through 20 packs of Kitex this year already, and it's the beginning of July, or the end of July. But definitely check them out. Stay tuned. We got a lot of videos I'm doing today. Most of them are review videos, and then the next couple months I'll be doing a lot of videos on the water and stuff. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Go check this stuff out and save some fish for me using it. And don't throw it too much, because I need it to still stay effective, because it's definitely one of my go-to techniques. But take care. We'll see you again soon.